It's not bad.
Okay, we'll call our meeting to order. It's 11 minutes past 7. This is the regular school board directors meeting for this date of the 18th of April, 2024. Thank you. I'm ready to have a roll call, if I may, please.
Gary Berkland,
Here.
Ryan Meyer,
Here.
Joel Boozman,
Here.
Rick McDaniel,
Here.
Michelle Murphy,
You have to let her in again. She won't come in.
She got left out.
Kevin Ring,
Here.
Jim Swenson.
Here. Okay, Michelle, are you here?
Yeah.
So she's present also. We have a full quorum. Let's all rise and recite the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to first start with the public hearing before I welcome the visitors and the guests. Public hearing on the school calendar for the 24-25 school year. Did we receive any written or oral comments? None? Anyone that's speaking from the floor on the calendar? If not, this public meeting is hereby adjourned. Next public meeting, public hearing on the school budget for the 25 fiscal year. Did we receive any written or oral comment? Anyone speaking from the floor? If not, this public hearing is hereby adjourned. Moving on, welcome to all the visitors and guests. Glad to have you here. Do we have any letters from anybody?
No.
Anybody's asked to speak tonight that's not already planned? Well, if not, we're moving on. Ryan, I'm gonna get through this really fast.
You're doing great.
Okay. First of all, I need a motion to approve the agenda, or do we have any modifications? None.
I'll move to approve it.
Rick, Jim, second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion is carried. We have a rather lengthy consent items. Do I have a motion to approve all of the consent items? Jim, second?
Second.
Joel, discussion. Look at that carefully, see if there's anything on there that you don't fully understand, including the item on the backside of my agenda page about personnel resignations and recommendations. Any comment or questions about those? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's carried. Moving on to reports. First report, Student Showcase, Future Business Leaders of America Conference and Summit Report. Who is, oh, Miss Peterson is up. Love it.
So I'm not sure if you're aware that every CTE teacher is now required to have a CTSO, and so I'm starting an FBLA. You want that in English?
Yeah.
Okay, which means Ms. Mites in the Family Consumer Science, me for business, Mr. Johnson in Industrial Tech, and Ms. Bartola, which she already has FFA. We need to start a student organization, a career and technical student organization, CTSO. We have to have it established, or we have to be, what do I want to call it, registered by the fall, and then have students signed up by next March.
Each?
Yes, so I'm starting FBLA, which is Future Business Leaders of America. And so I just wanted to kind of check things out. They had the state leadership conference a couple weeks ago. And I got the state advisor to let us go for free because it usually costs money just to check it out. And I randomly asked my yearbook staff if they would be interested. And they're like, yeah. So I took 4 girls from my yearbook staff, and Kinsley's going to tell you a little bit about it. Bill?
Let's hear it.
So we went to
State leadership.
state leadership in Cedar Rapids. We like got there and then we went to like this thing. It was called like the Leadership Lounge, and it was pretty cool. There was a bunch of like booths set up everywhere, and some of the booths were like colleges telling you about their college and why you should go there. Other booths were these people that were running for like state office for like FBLA. There was this one girl that she would like take pictures with everyone and then she posted them on her Instagram. And it was really cool seeing everyone and like telling them why they wanted to run for office. Once somebody wanted to help raise money to send people to the national convention that there was. It was really cool. We went to a workshop after that and we learned, and it told us about like how to prepare for college and gave us like studying tips and stuff. It told us like the bonuses of going to like a 4-year school or the bonuses of going to a community college before the 4-year school to save money and stuff. And it taught us how to like different, like how to write notes, and like I actually use some of that now. No, like it was useful information that I use in my everyday life now. We presented, we gave a presentation about, it was the sales and
It was actually a competition.
Yeah.
They entered into a competition even though we weren't official members, just to see, how they would do.
yeah, it was a sales and marketing competition. So we were trying to sell them our yearbook because we were supposed to make our own product to sell them. And we're like, well, we're already making a yearbook, we might as well just use that. And it was really fun making the presentation and presenting it to the judges. It was a really cool experience because in Belmont, you don't get a lot of chances to public speak in front of people. So it was cool getting to do that and learn different things about it. Yeah. And now with like that information that we made like about the yearbook, we can use that now for promotions, and selling the yearbook to like our students in our school, Yep. So we did present, we didn't get, like, we got scored on it, but we couldn't place at all because we're not an official chapter. But next year, we will be an official chapter, yeah. So we'll be able to go there and actually compete, yep. We did good, I think, yeah. And we're already planning our outfits for next year.
That's all they could talk about on the way home. We're gonna wear purple and you're gonna wear pink, we're gonna match. And-
Yeah.
And she wants to run for state leadership already.
I did not say.
You did too. So, yeah, I didn't think many people would be interested in, 4 people already, so.
It was really cool to go and hear the people that already are in it talk about it and tell us how they've like met new people, new friends, and different stuff. Yeah.
Did you think the information about the alternatives between a 2-year junior college versus a 4-year school was helpful?
Yeah, it was. You can they said you can save like a lot of money by going to community college first, but you also might have to take more classes then.
It's possible.
Yeah, they said that, I think. I'm like,
It's the transference of the credits.
yeah,
Sometimes it's a little bit,
yeah,
depends on what school you go to.
they did say that.
Okay, any other questions for Ms. Peterson?
So we're gonna have 3 new groups coming next year. FFA is already established.
Mhm.
What needs are there gonna be coming with these new groups?
I'm glad you asked.
That was set up.
Yeah.
I mean, literally just to get this set up, to get them going, I was doing outside work, just trying to figure out what we could compete in and lining up the schedule and everything. So we're gonna be spending a lot more of our personal time doing this because it's not part of school. That, and then, they have to get uniforms, they have to pay dues, the school has to pay dues. And then if we ever want to go to that state leadership conference, it's actually 3 days. They go on Sunday, stay overnight, and don't come home till Tuesday.
And there's also a national one that says Florida.
This year it's in
Yeah,
Florida.
this year it's
Yeah, they changed, they're different than FFA, they changed their nationals, different locations, so. I mean, it's just like FFA, but
It is, and we've already been talking about, and I think I put some things in a couple of my notes that we would want to have stipends and reimburse our leaders for what they're doing, and that's really important, so.
Grades 9 through 12.
we actually could have junior high, but we'll think about that. One other thing I want to add though, we also went to another workshop about how to give really good presentations.
Yeah, oh, I forgot to talk about that one. So we went to this workshop about how to give, like, it was about how to give presentations and step outside your comfort zone. And we did that right before we presented. And I think that actually did help because it was like, you shouldn't say a lot, which I'm really bad at, as you probably have told. And I say like a lot too. I need to work on that. But so that was really useful, and it was like I presented in front of the big group. I had to give a 60-minute. I had to talk about a picture that was on the wall for 60
Just impromptu.
seconds, not 60 minutes. Oh, that would be hard. But there was a video of it, and I said a lot. So that is something you like that they said that you should work on, and it told you it. I don't know, just kind of taught you how to like get out of your comfort zone to present.
Well, the best part, we were in a room of probably 50 people, 50 students, and they asked for 4 volunteers, and she was one of them.
Good job.
I'm like, nice, you know, we have never been there before,
Yeah.
so.
No, Briseida told me she was gonna give me $10.
Oh.
I didn't get
It's a
it.
young business leader right
Natural.
We have to, I want to make sure that the public understands this. This is something that's being required of all of the secondary school districts in the state of Ottawa.
Yes.
Okay, I want to be sure I understood that correctly.
You're saying all the time, and you're saying like all the time. Part of that, it comes from the fact that your mind's working so fast. When you're up there talking, I can tell you're thinking faster than you can actually talk. So the ums and the likes, are you trying to slow down your speech so it can, or try to give you time to think about what, so what you have to do when you're public speaking is try to slow your mind down a little bit. It takes practice, but you'll get there.
Okay.
Because you're gonna be a good public speaker, you really are. You just have to be able to slow that fast-moving mind of yours down a little bit when you're doing the public speaking, you'll nail it.
Okay.
Were you nervous talking here tonight?
Yeah.
I've heard you speak many times. You're never nervous.
No, I am. Yeah, I just practice it usually. I did not
Yeah,
practice.
we just kind of wrote up a couple things today.
There's improv tonight.
Improv.
She did find them.
Any other questions?
Just so you know, Industrial Tech's looking into Skills America, and FCS is looking into FCLA.
What's FCLA? Future
Family
consumer leaders.
I don't know.
Leaders of
Leaders
America.
Yeah.
FCCLA.
FCCLA, yeah, there's 2 C's.
Okay, anything else? Thank you. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, school improvement, the TLC report.
I think it'll probably go up here. It's not the whole. It should be good. Perfect. Okay, well, I guess we've got asked to come here kind of every time after we have Willow Sweeney come in, is one big thing. So Amy and I, we're just gonna talk a little bit about that and a little bit about what we are doing, what we did prior to Willow coming here, what we did when Willow was here, and then what we want to use with her after. It's kind of the 3 big things that we had coming in, what we want to do really, and I would say, like 1 is what we did prior, 2 is what we started to do and are continuing to do and something we want to accomplish by the end of the school year. And then 3 is something that we really want to try and do and accomplish here rolling into next school year. So that's address staff concerns. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. Can we take the next one? Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, so what we've done, we had some anonymous feedback surveys that we put out to staff in both buildings, and that included all staff within the building. We had personal conversations regarding some of those concerns, but we also did things that were going well. We had some open dialogue between us, Willow, and administration regarding those concerns and the things that were going well. So we would like to continue getting feedback from for concerns from staff, and then building up our culture with more face-to-face conversations. Some of that was with the feedback, just having more actual face-to-face conversations about different things. And then increasing the feeling of value from all that make BK great. So just trying to make sure that everybody feels valued and everybody has a voice.
Do you think that you'll have the anonymous feedback channels continue? Or do you hope to get to the point where it'll all be personal?
Yes, we hope to get to the point that that you would put your name on it, but we
Okay.
thought just initially,
Yeah.
you know, we wanted people to be as honest as they could, and sometimes that requires, or some people feel better, not requires, but some people feel better if it's anonymous, and so hopefully, I felt like we got some really good, honest feedback, and so hopefully in the future that they would be able to put their name on it and say, yep, this is my concern.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, like I was super appreciative of our administration, of Mark, CK, and Chris, in terms of we were all able to sit down in a room. We talked about some things connected to administration, some things didn't, but we were able to have like honest dialogue and a lot of just like, hey, what can we all do collectively to make this a great place is really what we did. And I felt like with Willow here, this time with Willow, honestly, it was good because she was here, but she got to be a little bit more in the background, and she didn't necessarily take the lead quite as much, and we did a lot of that in-house, which was really nice.
And some of it, like some of the feedback was just, or easy fixes, like we have already fixed some of them. And so it wasn't necessarily this big, huge thing. It was like, oh, you know, a few people were concerned about this, and we're like, oh, well, we can easily fix that. It just, we weren't aware of it. So that was nice that we were able to do some things right away, so.
We did talk about like, ultimately for a culture to succeed, it cannot require anonymous feedback. Like anonymous feedback, it's good for now, but ultimately, like, we need to have face-to-face conversations.
That's why I was asking the
for sure.
question. I think that's where you need to be.
Yeah.
To make it authentic.
Absolutely. So that was one thing that we did. Another thing through Willow, we kind of talked about, she asked us a question. It was a really good question of how do you deal with concerns and conflict that comes up in like the school. And we didn't really have a great answer to that. Like, yeah, we do that sometimes. Like I might go to CK, I might go to Chris, but that might not always be the person that I need to go to. So what we're trying to do is come up with some ways in which really to address whenever conflict or concerns come up, and we have the different types of possibilities, like, okay, who's going to handle this? What happens if it's unresolved? And then can anybody be a mediator in that? Like, for example, we can't be a place where like everybody just goes to CK and says like, hey, here's all my problems. Can you fix these for me? Like, we need to have some ways in which to do that. Yeah, is one of those things. Now, there are certain situations where I certainly should go to CK and have that conversation with her, or should go to Chris, but we just need to make sure that we're addressing conflicts and concerns. Conflict sometimes is a negative term. Sometimes it's just like, hey, we just want to get on the same page with this. Is a lot of what that is. Like, conflict isn't necessarily negative in this regard. It's just like, hey, if issues arise, how exactly do we deal with that? So we're really working hard in TLC now, and this is something we want to accomplish by the end of the year, is kind of have like an organizational flow chart where we can figure out like, okay, if conflict happens, if concerns happen, where can people go? How can we get some more people in the mediation process to eventually have conversations? Like if I have an issue with Amy, how can I get comfortable enough that I can actually go speak with Amy directly? There's really a lot of that, because honestly, in great cultures, that's how it works, is people have as many face-to-face conversations as possible. And yeah, it's awkward at first, but if that becomes the norm, then if it's part of the norm, then it becomes less of a thing. Like, I thought that was really cool what Kinsley said, that just kind of reminded me of that, is like somebody told her, hey, you say like and a lot. And she's like, oh, I never really thought about that. But just to be able to do stuff like that is important. So that's another step of that. Got it.
So this is kind of going along with our flow chart type thing, improve our desired state to include all parts of our school community. So we want BK to be the best place to work. And so our desired state would be, we want BK to be the best place to belong by fostering value, trust, and safety throughout our school community. And that includes students, parents, community members, alumni, everybody within our school community.
I'm surprised you added alumni. I would not have popped that into my head until I saw it.
We focused a lot on kind of the workplace culture. I think that's where all of this started, but we're now to the point where, yeah. And even we had conversations with Willow where we had a really good conversation about, okay, we have top 20 and teachers know a lot about top 20. Now, how can we bring this to students? Now, how can we bring this to the community? And how can we make this more holistic of like, hey, this is who we are and this is what we do. And really just plastering that and making sure that that's really well known. And that kind of comes down to this desired state 2.0 is we feel like this is going to be more all encompassing than necessarily. We don't want this to just be the best place to work. Like for Will, for example, like we want this the best place for Will to be, for Kinsley to be, for our students to be, as well as our parents, so on and so forth, is what we have going on there. Yeah, and using Willow for that process has been really nice because she's been in a lot of different schools in a lot of different places, so she's got a lot of good feedback. Top 20's got a lot of good resources. I know we spent the afternoon with her, just a small group of us trying to figure out, okay, where do we do this? If this is something that we want to do, how do we not necessarily just like beat every single class over the head with it, for lack of a better term, but how can we like find the grade levels that top 20 is really going to work the most effectively with, and then build that across our culture there? Because she did say one thing that doesn't necessarily work as well is when you're trying to have every single class, every single day, try to teach top 20, it's just not as effective as trying to make it like very, very purposeful in specific classes and then have it build on one another.
And having just a few people do it instead of everybody doing it.
Right.
Yeah, is what that is. But other than that, that's really like the three big things that we did leading into Willow, with Willow, and then coming out of Willow, our time with Willow. So with that, I guess I'll open it up for any questions that you all have about like our culture stuff that we do with Willow and top 20, or just anything with TLC in general, I suppose.
Was the money spent for top 20 and Willow well spent?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think she's been useful. I mean, everybody wants to come to PD days when she, paras, teachers, everybody, all the staff want to come on the, oh, it's Willow Day, so then it's, people are excited that she's coming, and I think she's relatable. She's down to earth. She isn't just somebody that's coming in and, that she's just feeding us information. She, you feel like, oh, I know her, like she's your friend, and so it's relatable. So that's really nice.
Dynamic. She truly is.
Yeah.
I would say our need for having her here in district is diminishing somewhat. Is what I would say, and I think if she were here, she probably would say the same thing, because I had lots of individual conversations with her as well. Because I feel like it's kind of like she has given the baton to us, and we can do some of this stuff on our own. Really, the next big step with her is, how do we get this to kids, and how do we then get this to our parents? Because the more that our top 20 can just be the way that we do things, and teaching as many people that of like, okay, we know what the school is and what they stand for, I feel like that's going to be super beneficial for not just us, but our community as well.
Justin and Amy, will you tell them who all was involved in that student one when you were talking about getting it to students?
It was us, obviously, and then James, and then Sarah, our 5A counselor, and then Caitlin, our K6 counselor.
Yeah, Callie was there.
And Callie.
Yeah. So really, like, our guidance counselors, just some of those people that have a little bit of background in SEL, that have worked with a broad range of our students. And we really came up with an idea that we think that and not everything's set in stone yet, but we really think it would be a cool idea if some people here, whether it's like our high school guidance counselor, myself, if we could go and start, especially like in the spring of the 6th grade year, start teaching them a little bit about our top 20 stuff. So one, they have the sixth graders coming over. I know sometimes it's a tough transition. So those sixth graders have a friendly face from over here. And then with that, they can get some of like the major top 20 pieces. So then when they come here, we can almost have like a 7th grade orientation class where we teach a lot more of this all together for our 7th grade, because we kind of said that's really one of those are kind of the 2 grade levels where there's big changes. And yeah, there's some things that we can do upper high school as well. But that's really where we wanted to like focus a lot of our time and energy at this point. Is what we had.
Any other questions for our TLC team? What's up?
Well, how will all of this affect students or involve students?
I would say like on it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You go ahead. What's up?
Monday's Bronco Pride.
So we've been talking about, like, we have Bronco Pride now. We've been talking about doing that more consistently in like our 7th grade orientation, for example. Instead of 7th graders being in a specific Bronco Pride, they would on Mondays be in the auditorium with just a handful of teachers where they would be learning a lot of this stuff, where that would be a lot of what we have there. And then one thing that we're gonna have to do is figure out, like, one, if I say top 20, do you have any idea what that means? Yeah, which is okay. That's not bad. Like, that's exactly it. Like, I'm glad that you're honest there. So I would say with that, it's really just educating and making sure, like, hey, this is really the way that we do things, and giving you all a little bit of a heads up and insight into that is really what I would say. In terms of affecting you, I would say, like, honestly, what it's supposed to do is just be like, hey, how do we just be as human beings more than anything? Like, help one another succeed. Like, a job here is everybody that's here. Like, you want to help me succeed, I want to help you succeed. That's how we function, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really just educating. That's a good question. Appreciate that.
I'd like to thank these two. They've put a lot of time in their leadership and everybody, but it's been a wonderful experience.
Thank you both so much.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank
We've
you.
made a lot of progress, I think, in the last 3 years.
And prior, like, we're just capitalizing on a lot of things that are already in place.
Oh, you're saying it's getting easy now?
No.
I wish.
Okay. Okay, Will, you're up. Student rep report. What's going on?
Well, I forgot my computer again, and I'm starting to think I might as well just not write it, but I've got an idea of what I wanted to talk about, so. We today just finished up with our clinics for large group for band and choir. We had people come in yesterday for band. We came in early, all the band kids came in early before school. We started early, and we went a bit late into the second period, but we got to learn all sorts of new techniques, and we improved on our music. So we're hoping to get a good score at large group. And then this morning, after first period, second period is choir, we went through third period. The choir director from NIAC came in and helped us with our music. We got to do all sorts of fun exercises with him, and I think we learned a lot from both of our clinicians.
Okay,
That was,
That's it?
That's all right, yeah.
what
Nothing
about
but
the
the
play?
normal plays.
Plays any good?
Do you want me to talk about them?
Seriously.
Yeah.
I would love to talk about them. I
was
thought I
waiting
had
for
talked
this.
about them last time, so I didn't want to bring them up again, but I had a lot of fun with them personally.
I could tell.
We were very, very worried, especially our directors. By that last practice, we were all getting a bit scared, but we all pulled through and came together when it came to performing it. I think the junior high did really well. I was excited that we got to watch it both times.
Yeah.
And I think the second time is always better than the first time. So I think it was funnier the second time for them. We also got to, add our own little things to it. Will and I think our favorite characters were the ones we played, Trojans. We actually spent like about 30 minutes backstage just method acting, just pretending we were the Trojans. What they might have been saying at the time, which was really fun. even though we only had like 5 lines total. And I think everybody sort of brought that energy to the 1X, especially when it came time for performance, and that's what makes them really special.
Any other questions for Will? I love those plays, I tell you. I went with low expectation. I've seen a lot of 1X in my lifetime. But I tell you, you guys went off the board. That high school play was just crazy. Nuts. And that was the first night. I heard it was even crazier.
I
the
told
next
you it was
night.
better
You told
Saturday
me
night.
that,
It was
right?
even,
Yeah.
you guys did even better Saturday night than Friday night, so. Yeah, I was very impressed with both the junior high and high school. High schoolers ad-libbed a lot up there on the, and it's hard to find a director that allows you to do that. And Andrew told me the director pretty much during practice sometimes had to put you guys back into place, but
Yeah.
yeah, the
especially
director
me.
let you have a lot of ad-libbing, so.
Okay,
I
Will.
love watching our fine arts in our school. They
Well,
all do well.
Thank you, Will. Nice report. Good job. Appreciate it. Moving on. Enrollment data. Who's gonna give that exciting piece?
Me.
Callie's up? Okay. Oh, she's getting it on.
Talking about you.
How do I do? Oh, you get a bird's eye view, Jim. You can watch it on the computer.
So this will be the third year I've kind of given this report. So some of you who are new to the board, maybe haven't seen it before. Some of you have seen it several times. Really what we look at is our population split that, on the next screen. 53% of our population, 712 is male, 47% is female, 33% of our population is a minority. That's up 2% from last year. We were 31% last year. In a perfect world, every single class that we teach 712 should follow those same dynamics. Should be basically a split male-female grouping. A third of the class should be a minority race. If you want to think about why you look at those kinds of things, you think about it like, if it's the lower track math classes, are they predominantly minority males? If so, that's a problem. That might mean that we are not pushing our minority population fast enough.
Right.
Or you might look at our top classes, you know, our chemistry, physics, those kinds of things. Are they predominantly white female? If so, that's also a problem. You know, you look at those kinds of data. You look at even our elective curriculum. You know, our business classes, our ag classes, our shop classes, our FCS classes. If it's showing one population over another, that's usually a problem. You want a fairly even mix. It's a perfect world, doesn't always work that way, but we try to get as close as we can. So that's our overall data right now. We went from 347 students last year to 299, 712. So that was a drop. Our males went up. Actually, our male and female population stayed the same percentage-wise, but again, like I said, our minority population went from 31 to 33% this year. You all have access to this document because it's in your board packet.
Right.
I won't necessarily pull it out individually. Oh, keeps going back, sorry. But if you looked at this course data, and I can bring it up, I look at every single course. I'll just bring it really quick. I look at every single course that we offer in our 712 building. It's a lot of numbers to count, but that's okay. And I look for anything that's different than, again, that 53-47 split, or that 33% minority population. If I see anything kind of major, you know, in a school district like ours, it's hard to say anything more than about 10% is major, only because when you only have a sample size of maybe 8 kids,
Right.
you know, that's going to skew numbers. But I look for anything that looks pretty discrepant, and I highlight in yellow and say kind of what it's. For example, junior high choir. If you've been to a junior high choir concert, you will see that it is 23 male or 23 females and 1 male. So yes, that is disproportionately male. Absolutely. So those are kind of the things that we look for. And then anything that's like a major change from last year, I also put in orange. It's kind of a new thing I did to the report. So as you look at those, you can kind of see kind of where we're at. For example, actually our junior high is 37% minority. So our overall 712 population is 33%. Our junior high alone, if you look at that just as a subgroup, it's at 37%. So just some things that are different. So we kind of look at some pieces. We actually made a lot of gains. I'll kind of talk about that in the next piece. From things we looked at before as a group, I've shown you areas of concern in the past. Things like our music courses are predominantly white and female. They are absolutely predominantly still female anymore, but actually they were at like 32% minority. We've done some action steps in the past, like Mr. Sitzworth and Miss Allen have done a really good job of incorporating different other cultural music. Singing in Spanish, for example, can be a common thing nowadays, just to make people feel more comfortable with taking those classes, those kinds of things. So other than being predominantly still female, not so much of a concern. And actually, if you look at band, the males actually are the predominant, but not by a lot. It used to be we were really concerned about our honors English classes and our advanced math classes. They used to be disproportionately white and female. That actually is no longer true.
Good.
In fact, I think we have several high-end math classes that are over 50% minority, at least this year. We looked at in the past, we had an area of concern that special education was disproportionately white. That might seem like, why would that be a concern? The concern is, do we have students, minority students who have a learning gap and a learning need, but we don't recognize that because we can't get past the obstacle of the language. You know, you can have a language barrier and not have a learning need. You can have both, you can have one or the other. So are we getting stuck on the fact that a language barrier versus also needing some special education services? So it used to be that that was a major concern. Actually, that's no longer true anymore. So that's also kind of an area of concern that no longer is. And then last but not least, we had quite a few slower paced math courses that were disproportionately male and minority. Again, virtually not a factor anymore. In part, because Ms. Jensen has really pushed our math teachers to push our students harder. We've gotten rid of several sections of our lower end math and we've kind of forced kids into some tougher math classes. And then at the same time, I support those teachers and those students by bringing in a new type of math curriculum called illustrative math. So in part because we're pushing kids more, in part because we've just kind of eliminated that opportunity of taking lower level, slower level math, which is always a good thing. So those 4 areas of concern, no longer, which is amazing. Really, of the areas of concern that we've talked about in the past, our agriculture, our shop courses, they are still predominantly white male. And in fact, their numbers are dwindling. I think there's several students taking repetitive courses throughout the day that might take, for instance, power and energy and advanced construction or something like that within a day, or they might take case animal studies and horticulture in a day. So we have several repetitive. We're only at about 24 kids across the 2 programs. Now they have more students than that because again, some of those students are taking multiple classes, but there's really only about 24 names taking those classes. So it's really hard to address that area of concern in terms of male, female, and minority or not when the numbers are dwindling so much. As you know, another impact piece about that, when you think about the main area of industry in our area, is definitely around agriculture. I mean, if it's not directly seed sales and farming, it's companies that support that, businesses that support that. So that's a major area of concern. Things they're kind of still working on to try to build up their numbers. Junior high exploratory classes, you know, every 7th and 8th grader takes an ag class and a shop class as part of their exploratories. They include them in service projects, they include them in field trips. You know, at junior high FFA is a pretty strong program. Junior high trap shooting is a pretty strong program, trying to bring them into some of their kind of the funner activities related to those. We do force them all to take at least one exploratory for each area. we send them to career fairs. We were going to host one 2 years ago. We were hoping to host one, and Garner kind of took it over and has a huge one for our area. So there's really no reason for us if, 20 minutes down the lane is another one. So we push a lot of kids, I think it's sophomores. Thank you. For that career fair piece, we push a lot of them to go. CTE, they're making their Skills America classes and their FFA program strong. They're bringing in guest speakers. There's not a lot of kids taking those classes. So that would be the one area of concern we pretty much still have left.
What do you think they're not taking those classes? You don't know interest, talk to someone.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they can't say they don't like, for example, our shop teacher, he's brand new, so they wouldn't have had any negative experiences or anything like that. Kids in, for example, a lot of the ed classes seem to really enjoy Miss Barkala and like spending time with her and doing, in programs with her. I can't say it's a teacher related piece.
I think you have a moving target here. Demographics change, generations change, and it's so hard. I mean, you just might not have kids this year or next year. Who's to say that doesn't change next year, 2 years from now? I think the most important thing with this program is to make sure that the opportunities are equal and available. You can't force an outcome.
And I do think Mr. Johnson made a good point. He's like, why would kids take some of my metals classes or something like that, some of my upper level classes when maybe they want to spend their whole day at NIAC earning a certificate in welding or certificate in diesel, automotive, some of those kinds of things. And that's true. We do seem to have a growing number of kids that want to spend the majority of their day there getting those programs. So.
And Callie, just to add to it, it's in my interim report, but I'm going to jump a little, that Franklin County Career Center that we've been talking about, that'll be another opportunity for kids to have some of those immersive things that, those numbers, when we look at who's taking things, will still fall into this and will help with this data.
So just kind of, really only had one control area to look at. Obviously the lighter blue was last year's kind of numbers in terms of minorities. The dark, almost black is current year. And then control group would be that 33% should be minority, 57% should be male, that kind of thing. So you can see definitely the minority numbers have gone down. Definitely clearly very still male dominated still. That's all I got.
Okay. Any questions for Colleen?
You ever think, I'm looking at the two classes, ag and in the shop, I call it shop, tools. But how hard do they work at promoting their class? Signage around the school, hey, we got this going over here, we got this intermediate welding class going, or we're in construction department. I mean, to sell it, you gotta advertise it. So I just wonder if we do that.
I don't know, I'm probably skewed just because, we all look at kids' schedules a lot, so we feel like it's well known what classes are. That doesn't mean, I guess I should say, how much kids know about classes, I guess I couldn't really say. Maybe Will can.
Do you track the home economics field as well?
Yep.
So is it safe to say that that's predominantly female?
Actually, no. Let me find, I'll bring it back because it's all on that. Again, at some point, oops, I kind of went off of it. Sorry, just a second. I'm going to bring it back here. Give me 1 second. It's got to reload. Let's see. I'll find that section. Bear with me because they're all in their own piece here. Okay, so here's our foods classes. If I can make that bigger for you. There's view. So here's our foods classes. You can see that 37%, oops, I just lost it. 37% male, 26% male, 29% male. There were no males in child development. but I only had a control group of 7 kids, so, I didn't get too concerned. 20% male. As they went down, 13% male and 29% male in culinary arts. So, yes, there was a couple that were a little bit, but again, when you only have a control group of 7 or 8, it's hard to make too many determinations. But if you look at foods 1, 2, health, sports and nutrition, culinary arts and pastry, they're pretty much about equal with our student body. And some of it is schedule based. For example, like sports and nutrition is offered at the same time as band, I believe. So, that one's kind of tough because, you gotta kind of pick and choose. There's only one section of band, there's only one section of sports and nutrition. So overall, you kind of look at, if you look at lower classes, for sure, there's a trend that they're staying proportional to our overall population. As you look at our freshmen and sophomores coming up, there's pretty proportional. So overall, not a major area of concern. When you look at art, again, they're pretty close. There's some that's 21%, some that's 20, but there's a lot that are 37, 35, 33% male. Our accounting classes are actually slightly more male than female. But again, not huge control groups when you only look at 2, 5, 7, 2, 3. It's hard to say in a control group that small. So.
Jill, I think part of the problem with that for the ag in the shop classes and stuff is they pushed in our school that most schools don't do this anymore, but for the longest time, back when I was in high school, they were all pushing college, everybody to go to college. You need to go to college. Don't go trades. Well, it's switching now, but I think we still have a lot of parents out there, my generation parents, that may still be thinking that way. College, my kid needs that college degree. They need that 4-year college degree. And they don't look at the trade industry as being a good career for their kids, So I think that might be a little bit of it too. And with us being a smaller school district, it's going to show up a little more there than it will in some of the bigger ones.
So what you're saying is we're pushing it. We're pushing the 4-year college.
Oh, we're not anymore.
No.
I think we still have parents out there that tend to push that instead of pushing into the trades. And I've heard people from the school talk in the past about, they're trying to get away from that here. They're trying to get away from that in all the schools pushing that. But when you have parents that may still be pushing that, because what's one thing as a parent, you want your child to do better than you did. So you're a welder. You're a welder. Well, I was, you were a welder. Well, I want my kid to go to college. So you're going to try to push that probably, So I'm thinking we may have parents that are trying to push their kids out of ag. They've been in ag and they don't want their kid, a lot of times parents don't want their kids to follow with the hard work they've had to do. Some parents do. I mean, I honestly thank God every day none of my kids want to do what I did for a living, that they've all decided to do other things. I do. But, I've got one that wants to get into the trade industry big time. That's what he wants to do. So he's pushing towards it. But he's one of your demographics that next year he's going to be at NIAC almost every day. He's going to get his welding certificate, next year. So when he's still a senior. So.
And we obviously don't have those students in our count only because they're not actually taking art courses. They're taking a NIAC related, so.
True. But you do a tremendous job of keeping up with, and all those numbers are important. They really are.
It's a fun about 2-week project, but it's all right.
She seems to do it well.
Well, I think Ryan's right. I think we're gonna see a shift. After the 8th graders finished their exploratories this year, they were pretty excited because they didn't make a birdhouse. They made a toolbox. They got to do different things than what they've done in the past.
Right.
Well, and now we're seeing, as you know, you went down and visited the shop. He does some amazing things down there that we've never seen before.
Right.
So I think that when those things start to talk, kids start to talk about that, you get to make a shell of a house. I mean, they learned how to put the electrical in, the plumbing in, all that stuff. I think that's gonna make a big difference. I mean, we see kids down there, there might not be very many kids down there, but there's some kids down there you'd never guess were down there. I mean, really, they just don't fit that whatever we think that that image should be. So I think it's gonna shift around. And yes, I think Jim's right. We just have to do a better job of promoting it. And we can work on that. So.
Okay, yes, Will.
I just wanted to say, I haven't taken a shop class or an ag class or anything since 7th grade because of COVID. And, like to your point, it's just not promoted, I think. I honestly forget that part of the building's even there. Because I just don't think of it at all. And when it comes time to pick classes, I'm not thinking of it. I'm not gonna pick a class, one of those classes. So, especially around, the end of the school year or the start of the school year, if there's posters or anything like that, promoting those classes, change your class to this, if you have an open period, I think those numbers would go up.
Point well taken. It's good. It's good information to know. We just assume all the kids will pick what they need and want, but that isn't true. You don't know what's there. It's really hard to pick what you know and want because you don't know what you know and what you want, Well, Callie, thank you.
Yep.
Good report. Excellent report. Moving on, we're going to move to the alternative program report. Woo, this is exciting.
I think I'm on here twice, so I gotta go back.
I
to
see
back.
you are, yes. Just
So,
keep them rolling.
I'll jump into probably the second one, the athletic reports and all of that.
Sure.
And then we'll jump back into the alt school. So kind of recap of spring sports and where we're at. We have boys and girls track going on right now. Boys are traveling the state to find their
Knoxville.
Knoxville.
I saw that. I couldn't believe it.
We do like to go down there because one, that meet always happens. It's always 20 degrees warmer down there.
Oh,
So that's kind of why we, ECLUW, Marshalltown, we get a little farther south, our meets are more likely to happen. For in case tomorrow, we're supposed to host a meet here for girls, and the bright spot of tomorrow is a 50-degree temperature and 30-mile-an-hour winds. So yeah, we're hoping we can host that one. Actually get a home meet in here. But boys are continuing to improve. A lot of younger guys, freshmen and sophomores, contributing for that team. Girls are continuing to compete very well. They're finishing really strong. Numbers kind of just hurt their case. They just don't have enough. Track is a numbers sport. The more numbers you have, the more opportunities you have to compete in races and earn points and win. But so right now we're fighting the numbers ball. We just don't have quite the numbers to earn enough points. We're doing well in the events that we are in. Just don't quite have the numbers to raise the point total up from those. But they're doing really well. We do host conference track on May 2nd. So it rotates around the east and west side. This is our 9-year rotation, and we're hosting conference track this year on May 2nd. We're looking for volunteers. Throw that plug out there. Shameless plug. So if you want to help, contact school. We'll get you set up in any capacity there. Boys and girls soccer is doing really well. This is our 2nd year of the county trifecta, Wright County Soccer, doing really well. Boys are sitting about 500. They actually just in our conference alone are 2 ranked teams, and then us. And so we're sitting right at about 500. We're doing really well. Girls are still looking for their first win. They've been in a lot of games, a lot of close games. Just haven't been able to come out on the top of those. But a lot of communication between all 3 schools. It's doing really well. I think it's something that we're going to continue to move forward with. I think everybody's pretty happy with it, and the kids like it. The biggest thing that we need to find for our program is because we are 3 schools, we have so many kids, and a lot of the other schools, just by themselves, we're struggling to find JV games. So we're going to probably start sending them out across the state to find some JV games. But that's kind of the nature of the beast when it comes to that. Boys and girls golf is doing really well this year. Boys are doing really well. We've had multiple medalists. They have won multiple meets. I think they're up at North Union tonight, and so they're hopefully come home with another medalist from that one. Girls golf has 8 girls out this year, which is 7 more girls than we thought were going to be out. So we're super excited about that. Got some people that have never played golf before and they're learning on. Bailey Fran, our new coach, is doing a really, really good job of bringing those together and teaching them skills, and they've only ever improved from their first meet on. So, but they're giddy to be out there. They love being out there, and they're not necessarily swinging the golf club the greatest. They just love to be out there and have a good time. So, esports is doing really well. They're looking to make another deep run into the playoffs. Hopefully, we can bring another banner home for them. They'll start playoffs here in the next couple of weeks. So it's a pretty short season for them, but looks like I think they're doing really well. I think they're close to number 1 or 2 in the state right now.
Third right now.
Yeah, so they're doing really well again with those. I want to reiterate what Will said earlier about the plays. Gave this as well. If you didn't get a chance to go, they were top notch. They were really good, and just kind of a unique take on acting. And I loved how they used the idea of a script. And then what's my line? And they just bring it over and they read the line to them, and that was awesome. Just a way to incorporate it into it and not have anybody be embarrassed about not forgetting their lines or anything. It was awesome. I loved it. Jazz band has been doing phenomenal again. If you didn't catch them, they went down to the Jazz Championships in early April, brought home 2nd place. So they got to perform twice down there, which is really cool. It does a really, really good job with them and promoting his program. And I think BK jumped on board last night. They are going to purchase an upright bass for our jazz band. It's been the one thing that every judge has knocked them on is they don't have an upright bass. So they're going to BK jumped in to support that. So we want to thank them for that. Kind of from beyond that, we're going to jump into some summer stuff here fairly shortly. Practice actually starts for baseball, softball here in the next coming week. Hitting and throwing has been going on for pitchers and catchers currently already. They can actually start that right after Christmas in January. So they've been meeting on Sundays, hitting and throwing, and now we'll actually get to go outside and do it for real out there. So this will be our 2nd year of baseball again. So we're still growing that program. Olenbrook with softball is going to continue to grow that program throughout the summer. We have junior high coaches in place for the most part, so we're excited for them. We're kind of looking at summer camps as well. We got multiple teams, boys and girls basketball, football, volleyball. We have some jazz band kids that are going to go to some camps as well over the summer, try to improve their skills and hopefully bring their talents back and share their knowledge with our kids that we already are here. Kind of on the horizon, looking down the line, kind of next year and what that looks like. As a conference, we were talking about bound and bound ticketing and kind of what that might look like if we went to an online ticket and the costs associated with that. And is it viable? Is it something that we want to do as a conference? Is it something that we want to do as a school? And so, as we know, kind of you can't even go to a professional or semi-professional game right now and bring out cash. So they don't even exist. So it's coming towards us in terms of online ticketing. But we're gonna go through that, kind of look at all the numbers, make sure everything is where we want it to be, and we're gonna make the best decision for us in terms of bound. We are a bound school as it is right now, so we do everything on bound scheduling wise. So all of our programs, varsity to 7th grade, is all on bound. So we do some more with that. There's a schedule facilities manager on it that we're taking advantage of. We're taking advantage of the rental agreement. We're kind of started that press up as well. So we're trying to get everything kind of going in the same process where if you need to know anything about activities, you go to bound and away you go. So that's kind of where we're looking at down the road. Questions on that stuff?
No.
Awesome.
That was a ton of stuff.
It was. We're busy. We got a lot of activities, and we want to highlight our kids because they do a really good job. And now, kind of our all school piece. Really, what we're talking about there is transitioning our all school back to the building. And there's some factors of really why we want to do that. We want to make sure that our alternative school has the same resources that our normal general ed kids have as well. Our alt school, there's a lot of factors that bring kids into alt school. Some of it's academic work, some of it's family and outside of the school walls, but we want to make sure that they have all the resources available to them that they would possibly have here. So currently they're housed in the district office, fairly in a small room. There's 12 kids that we allow there every year. So they kind of go at different paces while they're there. It's a really tight room. And so we're trying to get them some more space. And so we think by coming back here, we can do that. There's some kids that are in special ed, so some SDI time that would be more accessible to them. More of a team approach. Pat Kelly does a wonderful job at our alternative school right now, but he is kind of a one-man show down there. He calls us for help, and we offer that, but he is kind of on an island a little bit. And so if we bring it back here, it's more of that team approach that we're going after. Also, just kind of consistency with behaviors, discipline, attendance policies, all of that stuff can all remain constant since they're under one roof here. We also want to have them more access to kind of co-curricular things, art, band, ag classes that we want to get them into as well. So just more access to that, just more full inclusion atmosphere, kind of rather than the feeling that they're left out on their own to just fend for themselves at a different building. So just kind of that full inclusion atmosphere, and then just kind of a team atmosphere. We want them to be here. We want teachers to have access to them to provide as much help and support to them as well. To kind of make that happen, there's some pieces that we need to move around a little bit to make them come back here, to find space for them within the building. One of those is Corey's office, kind of on the western side of the building. It is a great space for our old school, mostly because they have their alternative door. There's restroom facilities right there. So in that turn, we would end up kicking Corey out of his office to make him move somewhere else. And so there's kind of some other pieces that we would have to move to make that happen. Kind of one of those pieces is we have a really large empty room that used to house our wrestling program. It's the same size as our weight room on the outside. It's 2 feet shorter on one end. So it's 40 feet wide and it's 58 feet versus 60 feet long. So that's the difference between the weight room and the wrestling room. So we would like to kind of in a 3-part rotation to make room for our old school. We would bring our weight room inside. There's a lot of reasons for that. Student safety is a huge piece of that. Having the building outside, there's no access to water or restroom facilities. Kids have to have a key to get in and out, a key card. So it's a pretty lengthy process. Dirt, debris, snow, ice removal, all that stuff ends up inside of our weight room as well currently right now. And so we would, to help all that, we'd bring our wrestling room inside or weight room inside to the wrestling room. We would move Corey then out to the weight room, the current weight room. So there's kind of a 3-part rotation to bring our old school back here. And there'll be some costs, which is in your board pack that you can see to kind of make that switch around happen. But the goal behind it is, I know the big questions are going to come about, well, what about wrestling? And we want to support wrestling. That's the biggest thing that we do. And so we are still going to find an alternative space. We have 2 mats hanging in our gym right now that in a short amount of time you can easily put together and have a makeshift wrestling room in there. So that's out there. That's what we're looking to do. But again, the main focus of this is to actually bring our old school back here and house it with us. So. Questions from you guys on that piece?
No, we had a good tour before to look over that plan, and appreciate your insights. Glad we have a report now to work with, and we can decide we're going to move forward with the next meeting.
Okay. There is I tried to list out all the costs that we potentially found with that. Like we said, we tried to under promise and over deliver with that one. So there might be some costs in there that don't even exist really at this point, but we wanted to make sure we covered our bases before making that switch. But yeah, that's really what we're going after.
Okay, any other questions? If not, thank you, James. Appreciate it. Moving on to the tag report. You've been very patient. Yeah.
All right, I am kind of losing my voice, so bear with me a little bit. So I'm Erin Slifer, and I have started the Talented and Gifted year. I started that in January. So to give you an idea of some of the things I've been doing, I did some professional development for the secondary teachers. So I came in and we did it during one of our early out days, and I did a blended learning style. I like to model some of the best practice. So I modeled a center type of training, so that way they could get a feel for what it's like to do that, because secondary teachers don't necessarily think of centers. That's more of like an elementary type of activity. So I modeled that and taught them about some enrichment ideas that they could do with kids, as well as went over what character traits and profiles of a talented and gifted child are, what to look out for, the look fors for those students. We also had a critical thinking task for them to do to get them thinking outside of the box. And Justin actually helped with that and facilitated that piece and had them build little helicopters, and they had to do a little competition for the slowest helicopter. So that was kind of fun to see. So, and then they also did an independent task and worked on some differentiation that we've been doing in our collaboration days as well. So they built on that. May 7th, I'll be going into the elementary and I will be doing professional development for them. And basically I'm gonna be coming over there and helping them to see what can it look like in the elementary building for them, how I can be utilized, and what identification will look like there as well. One of the big things I worked on this year was the handbook. So it is a 22-page handbook that is accessible to parents, teachers, students, so they can see what the identification process is, what our vision and mission is for Talented and Gifted. So if parents, teachers, anyone has questions, they can go there. Letters, the personal education plan as well. Template is there that I will be utilizing with the students as well, is all there. In addition, I'm working on creating a website so that it's, again, everything is, we do things, technology. I want it to be, they can just go to the website and be able to get to whatever it is that they need. So they can go there, get to the handbook, they can get to resources. So if they want to do activities at home with their children, they can go there and get to resources to do that. Teachers, it's me for the whole district. So if I'm not able to get to them right away, they're able to go there and find resources as well to help their advanced learners too. So to go over the identification process a little bit for you, we're using traditional testing right now as well. So we use a cognitive abilities test called COGAT, and we're using a screener. In addition, we use the ISASP and our FastBridge testing scores. Eventually, I'd like to add in teacher behavior scales, parent behavior scales, an ELL checklist, as well as ELL teacher consultation if students really want to, portfolios for them to show their work as well. And just a little bit so that you know what my vision for the TAG program is really to be a push in, not so much of a pull out. I don't really want students missing classes. I want, my background is coaching, instructional coaching. So I really enjoy coaching teachers. So coming into the class and helping them to coach them on how to best help their advanced learners. The identification process is never ever perfect. So ultimately we might miss some kiddos, and our mission statement is all means, it has all in there. We're gonna help all learners. So I look at it as this would be a way for me to be able to go into classrooms and really be able to help teachers help all learners. So I can help facilitate that learning and coming in and helping them do that. In addition, I would also like to provide some of those outside enrichment activities. There's competitions that they can go to, there's conventions that they can go to, and things like that as well. So I would also like to provide those opportunities. So, and that's all I have for you so far. Do you have any questions?
This seems like a different style from what I remember TAG being. TAG was a pullout
Yeah.
typically, and they focused on special skills that the kids would pick up on. The screening may be the same, I really can't tell from what you've provided, but I assume it's similar. But is this a preferred way of approaching TAG, do you think, or is this a new version, or?
It's not really a new version. It is changing. They actually recommend that you don't pull kids out anymore and that you do actually push in.
Oh, I'm glad to hear
Yeah.
that. That's important to hear that. That's good to hear. I mean, I'm just trying to feel that I understand what we're doing with our TAG program.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yep.
We didn't have it when I was young, so. They wouldn't have let me in.
Maybe they did.
Thanks, Joel. Maybe they had it and I don't know.
That's right, exactly what he meant, that's good.
How would you know?
Will, do you have a question?
Yeah, just to be clear, is this also gonna include 7 to 12 students, or is it just for the elementary?
Oh, no, it's 12.
Well, thank you. Even though you're under the weather, it's very clear, Aaron, but I appreciate your report. This is great information for us.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Erin.
Moving on, principals. I see one.
I'm trying to give Piper my activation.
Oh, Piper's gonna do it for you? Oh, no?
That'd be awesome.
Well, I tell you, all these great reports, there's not a whole lot left for me to do.
Yeah, I wondered about
I mean,
that.
they've done an awesome job, everybody
They
has.
covered your stuff.
Yeah, so I just have a few more things. We've spoke about the biliteracy seal that we were gonna give to, students, and that means that they are, fluent in 2 different languages.
Right.
So, Callie worked hard on this, and, we gave it to 7 students. It looks for if they're, fluent in reading, writing, speaking and listening. And so we took 5 of our Hispanic kids, or 7 of our Hispanic kids, and so they did a Spanish test that we know that they're fluent in English. We need to make sure they were both, so 5 passed that, which is awesome. So 5 of them will have a seal on their diploma that says they're biliterate. And then Callie did some more checking in. You and I will offer one of our students who's going there, if she can take one 300 level class, since she has a seal, she takes one 300 level class, she can have a minor in a foreign language.
Whoa.
So 1 class, and she has a minor. And I'm pretty sure, we couldn't find a whole lot, but we think that most of the state schools will probably do that. So that's an awesome thing. One of our boys is going to the service, and we kind of talked to just each other, and you know how the service sometimes looks at degrees and that. Well, he may already have a minor in that foreign language, so he may get a higher rank as soon as he walks in the door. So it's a great opportunity. So I thank you for doing all that hard work, looking into it and getting that done. So that's quite an honor. Yesterday, I don't know how many phone calls all of you got and wondered what was going on at the school. We had some fire trucks come flying in and an ambulance, a couple ambulances, and look at Joel's like, what the heck happened? We had a reenactment of a drunk driving scene. It was, two cars that they brought in and put together and looked like they had wrecked, and one was a pickup full of 4 kids, and the other one was a family. So we were reenacting, they called it Operation Prom Night. It was pretty impactful. Was it, Will?
It was scary.
Yeah, it really was. And I mean, I have, how many kids in the high school?
299, well, you have 204.
Yeah, so figure 204 kids in the auditorium and there's not a word coming out of any of their mouths. So it started in the parking lot. They called it in. They actually talked to dispatch over the mic. And then they called for fire, they called for ambulance, they called for the police. Everybody came squealing in. They staged over at the Catholic church. They came around that corner and come in, and when you see it, the pickup sat here and the other vehicle was here, and one girl was out the windshield of the pickup, and there was a student laying on the ground, and everybody they knew the kids, like 5 of the kids were actually high school students that did this, and then 2 had previously graduated that came back and did part of it. But then it ended up that Andrew's Funeral Home came with a coach. They picked up a student. So it was very, very impactful. The ambulance took one away, took him into the stage in the auditorium, and they acted like it was an ER room. And the student died on the table in the ER room, and the parents were there. And so it was huge impact. Like I said, there was not a peep that came out of anybody in the auditorium. And it was just 9-12. 7th and 8th graders wanted to know why they couldn't go. And well, they just weren't quite ready for that. You know, so that was, we thank Belmont, first ambulance got it set up for us. So it was the fire department, the ambulance service, sheriff's department, Belmont police department, EMS, not EMS, not EMS, emergency management was here. So, and Andrew's Funeral Home, so lots and lots of players in it, but we thank all of them. We have a top-notch first responders in our area, so that we were very fortunate to have that. I think the kids were thankful. You know, I mean, even my squirrely ones that are never quiet and never sit down and never be quiet, they're quiet. So.
That's good.
Hopefully it makes an impact in the future. And with that being said, we have prom on Saturday night, and that all those things will start. The promenade starts at 6 o'clock, and then we have dinner, and then a dance, and everything will happen here at the school. So kids won't be out and about trying to get from one place to another, which is a great thing. And so that'll be exciting. And Will, are you going? Are you coming? Okay, Will will be there. You wearing your hat like that?
I am.
Okay, there we go. We'll be set. And then after prom, we'll start ISASS testing next week. So the kids will test starting Tuesday, test on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday of next week, and hopefully then they'll do some science the next week and get that done. So that's what's coming up in the very near future. Other than that, we're working on trying to get graduation ready and lots of end of the school year stuff. It's coming fast, really fast. So questions for me?
No. Prom.
Yes, I think you're all invited. It will. Julie and Shannon have put in hours and hours of work, and they always make sure that it's successful, and the kids hopefully appreciate all the time and effort that they put into that. If anybody wants to volunteer, we still need some people for after prom. That's always exciting. That'll start at 11:30 and it's over at 3:30. So if you don't have anything to do in the middle of the night, come hang out with us for a while.
Jim was saying he wants to do it.
What?
When did you volunteer?
Because I'm not gonna be here.
Oh.
Otherwise, he would have.
Otherwise, I'd go involved over it.
Yeah.
Role model, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a role model, you'd be good.
Show how it's done.
That's all I have. Anybody has anything for me?
Thank you, CK.
Okay, I'm gonna go switch with Mark then.
As she switches with Mark, I'll add a couple other people that were, I was trying to get her list. So if I double up, I want to thank for that reenactment. So Andrew's Funeral Home, Iowa River Players Community Theater had some actors there. Also, I'm just trying to see Police Department, Fire Department, Ambulance, Wright County Sheriff's Office, Iowa Specialty Hospital, Wright County EMS, Wright County Attorney's Office,
Oh, I forgot
Wright
that.
County, that's okay. I was
Oh, yeah,
right.
they did end it with a court case.
Yes, yep,
And
right.
he came out and actually Dario arrested the girl that was driving the car, brought her in, breathalyzed her, handcuffed her at the scene and took her, but yeah.
All of
So,
it.
yeah, I forgot, good, I'm
Nope,
glad.
that's okay. I'm trying to catch a Bright County Communications Center, Cody Bonstetter, Auto Body and Towing. So I think if we didn't get someone, we will continue to look at our list, but I was making a list and, just want to say thank you. And I'll also share, so proud of our seniors at the end. CK was starting to thank the first responders were all up here. She was up here and her kids were facing her. And when she said thank you, those seniors stood up and turned around with a standing ovation, that the whole wave of kids stood up and thanked our first responders. And I think it says a lot to our students' character. So.
Okay, well, let's move forward and then we'll pick up Mark's report when he gets here. We have the SiAC report. Are you up and ready to roll, Michelle?
I am, I'm still awake.
You're on. Go for it.
Okay, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Gary, I'm sorry you missed the last time.
Me too, actually.
I had not in a missed one, this was an excellent meeting. I have a little bit to say about it, but, it's an overview, but then some specifics. Caitlin Peterson and Sarah Nelson, the counseling offices, the elementary and middle school case, and talked a lot about, social emotional learning that they do. And we're really pushing the difference between rude, mean, and bullying. They're posters in the elementary school. And we talked about how that's going to be pushed out to parents and, interactive community so that we can know the difference. Because I think many times parents will say, oh, my kid's being bullied. But there's definitions for each of those levels, rude and bullying, that I think is important for kids to share with their families and for everyone to have the same understanding. I think the most disturbing part of that was we had several students in the beginning who I was very proud of how empowered they felt to speak up about what's going on in school as far as bullying and violence. Some of the quotes, direct quotes from students that concern me, if you stand up, then you become the bully. Because one of the parents asked, what happens standing up for your friends? Your friends being picked on, bullied, stand up for them and say, hey, no, that's not nice, don't do that. Well, then that's the perception that you stand up and you become the bully. Being mean in school, I think we all know that our society tends to look like it's not overall as nice thing as it used to be. But being mean is perceived as cool. They described maybe a table of 5 people sitting around, and one young man making fun of another young lady at the table. And if everyone doesn't have a laugh and agree, then you're not cool. And then maybe the next target of that. Nobody's scared of anyone. They're not even scared of the teacher. The student who misbehaves in some way, whether it's bullying all the time, doesn't seem to get in trouble. But then there's another student who is usually a model student, makes a mistake, and they get in trouble. Doesn't seem to be the fair. And the other going along with that, they feel like that nothing is being done. If they speak up, it won't get worse, and that something's only being done when it becomes violent. I think last fall, received a report about students surveys, and they did not feel safe in the school. We talked about that quite a bit, and these comments definitely tied back to that for me. This meeting had a huge impact on me. I think our kids are experiencing way more than we realize, and that we need to make sure that we are intentionally making sure that the kids are being heard on and not realize that, it will get worse and there will be retaliation. So, Mr. Seifert was asking, and one of the things that he said is that we can handle situations when it's at the youth level. So rude and offensive, then bullying, that we need to handle it at the youth level and not let it get to, bullying, or not let it get to the next level. And I think that's really something we need to focus on, because I think our kids' safety and feeling safe in our schools is of our most important. Another couple things that we need to work on, preventative steps, and then outline some consequences for each offense, and have that be across the board so that it's safe for everyone. Obviously, there's going to be instances where there might have to be changes to the needs of a certain situation, but overall, the first offense of this type of behavior, this consequence, second offense, so on and such. And then the big thing I think that I've seen a lot of, not just in schools, but in the community, and then the criminal world, is education for reentry, which at least is the level of taken out of school. For example, in the criminal world, there's domestic assault, how to think about it as education programs. I think we need to educate kids come back, before they come back into that school environment, so that maybe they have a better understanding, a better perspective of what they did and what they can do in the future to prevent that. And we also did a little bit of discussion about chronic absenteeism, Bronco side spirit. I was disheartened to hear that our students don't feel like there's very much school spirit, and they feel like that if there was more school spirit, they would want to come to school more. And then we also talked about celebrating successes and how people want to be celebrated. Not everyone wants a party. Not everyone wants to be, announced over the intercom. Some people like the folks that no offers. But we need to recognize people for all of their accomplishments. One of the students said that having celebrations when kids go off to state feet or state track or whatever it is, and they walk the hall, and some of the fine arts businesses are like feet. They walk the hall and they celebrate them in class, and kids say, "Why are we talking? What is this kid doing? I don't know what this kid is. Why is this important?" So it's important to celebrate everyone, and I think it's important that we celebrate them in a way that makes them proud to be around them. So that's probably that's the big part of what we talked about.
It sounds like you got to some real issues at that last meeting. And
we did. It was a great.
the question is, can we figure out good ways to address those in the year to come?
I think I'll quick.
And I think that Southwick is working on that diligently, and I think they're doing a great job so far. They put together.
I will add, I believe that some conversations that are already happening with that Bronco Pride time, the top 20, some of the things that we were bringing up, the kids were also saying. So we were like listening to ideas the kids had, and we were thinking, you know what, we're already talking about that. Okay, we've got that. We've talked a lot about just that relationship piece. And so that top 20 addresses that kind of stuff, like how we treat each other and the environment that we want to build. Back to your question. So no, we did. We heard a lot of very real comments that made everyone think, and we need to move forward with those things.
Any other questions for Michelle? Anybody? Thanks for sitting in. I found the group was energetic and insightful from my perspective in the first two meetings. And obviously you had a very productive third meeting too.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. We're gonna skip you for a second, Michelle. We're gonna go to Mark for his principal's report. Then we'll come back for policy committee.
Okay, thank you. I want to reiterate a couple things. Amy was here earlier. She's just done a tremendous job this year as our TLC coach in our building. You know, her responsibilities primarily include the work with the TLC. She also handles and coordinates with some of the other teachers our testing that we do for fast testing, and also our ISAS, which we started this week. She's just done a great job coordinating with the teachers and working together. And she always taught younger grades, kindergarten, first grade, for her whole career. So she's never dealt with ISAS before. So this was a new thing for her to learn, but she's done a great job. And she's worked with Trish really closely and done a lot of good things. So I just want to thank her. And she's just done a bang up job, and she's going to be back again next year. So I'm excited about that. I'm glad you enjoyed Mr. Everest, the music program today. He was your person. So Joel was our director of Mason City when all my kids went through choir. So he's quite a force. I heard James's comment about the Bound. I went to an event, a basketball event in Mason City, and they have complete cashless concession stand, ticketing, everything. You walk in with your card, you pay for your $5 admission, whatever it is, and then if you buy a $3 pop, you just touch the thing and it's done. So they can take cash, but they prefer not to. You can do it all that way if you want. So I think that's the way it's going to go.
So if you don't have a card or a phone,
you can pay cash still for a couple of years. I think they're going to do that.
For a couple of years?
Yeah. So, all right. So we've been busy. We've been super busy. I'm tired. Speaking of how kids feel about safety and et cetera. So every year, as you probably know, we take a conditions of learning survey in grades 3 through 6. The upper level kids take one that talks a lot about school safety, how they feel personally, how they feel kids feel in the building, safe and secure, et cetera. And so we did that 2 weeks ago for all of our 3rd through 6th graders. We usually get those results before the end of the school year, in some manner at least. And so we'll have some information or data probably by the summer board meeting, if not by fall. We don't get rankings and stuff till then, but we do get our individual scores within the building. It's anonymous. It's not there's no individual student scores, but by grade and by gender, et cetera, we get that. For those of you that are able, our talent show last Friday was another hit. Lots of good acts and fun times for everybody. Our 3rd and 4th graders went to CY Stevens on Monday in Ames to watch a production of Charlotte's Web. We're very lucky. Our business groups in town and the women's groups in town and our nurses fund is sponsored. Ever since I've been here, every grade has gone to at least one show every year, either at NIAC or CY Stevens. And we actually did the Civic Center this year because that was the only show that was kind of available for older kids. And so they've been very generous in that, but the kids had a good time. As I said, we started our ISAS testing for those of you older. Iowa Test of Basic Skills. That's the new version of that. Our 3rd through 6th graders take that test. They do math and reading, and then we also do science for 5th graders. So again, we won't have those results till fall. We're right in the midst of it now. We're about halfway through the testing. Our 3rd and 4th graders had their music concert last night. Ms. Bergman was there. Miss Sandy just continues to get better and better and better. She's really gone outside of her comfort zone. She did a kind of a musical play for the 5th and 6th graders on Encanto. Last night was the best pet show ever, and the kids did a lot of pet-related songs and got together, and it was, again, a great show. Our 5th graders today were at NIAC. They go every year for their career fair. They do a career fair for 5th graders across North Iowa, and today was their day to learn about kind of where their next steps are. So I think it's always a good segue into middle school and high school for them. Our preschool roundup is coming up. It's a week from Wednesday on the 24th. So we'll see how many new preschoolers we get. And we've already had a lot of people call and sign up. I think it was in the paper this week, was it not? Yep. I haven't looked at my paper yet because I usually get home on Thursday nights and see the paper. So they'll look forward to that. Our annual book fair is in 2 weeks. We do Monday through Friday book fair. And Scholastic News, we raise a lot of money so we get Scholastic News free for our kids and make a little money for the PTO as well. So, We'll do our last round of fast testing in 3 weeks for all grades, K through 6, for reading and math, and we do that 3 times a year, as we've talked about before. We also got a bunch of field trips. As I said, first graders are going to the Blank Park Zoo, 5th graders are going to the Science Center. We have one more music concert coming up on May 8th for K2. And our annual track and field day, which is always a big draw, is on May 22nd. And I just always want to give a shout out to our reading and running group. So one of our members is here tonight, right, Piper? So we've got the biggest group I've ever had, 43 kids. I've stuck with it now for 2+ weeks. We run Mondays and Thursdays and then Friday mornings on the track. And we had a great turnout, and this has been the best group I've had so far. There are some leaders from the older students and some young kids, and they're all working very hard. So we'll have our trail run on the 29th of May, right before the end of school. Out on the trail, we finish in the stadium, like they have the last couple of years. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff going on. That's what I have. If you have any questions for me about any of the stuff that you talked about, or you guys talked about while I was in the other room.
I hope you get a lot of preschoolers, you know.
I do.
I need a big crowd.
We do, and if you don't know, Gary comes and reads to our preschoolers every week.
And I think you have reading, writing, reading, running, and writing.
Miss Duran is
Yeah,
helping us with
I
reading,
saw.
running this year, so she's been taking her bike out to lead the
Riding.
group.
Yes.
Yeah, to
She
lead the
did
group on
tell
her
me
bike.
that.
Yeah. So her two young ones are running this year, so she thought she'd join us. And any of you are welcome to come anytime, 3:30 Mondays and Thursdays. Just come out and walk with
The
us.
kids, you see, all you have to do is run.
You can just walk too. We walk.
Oh, to walk, okay.
They got me to run wind sprints today. I'm a little slow already.
Wind sprints.
Let's see how you can run with this. I do. I run a lot slower usually, but today was like, anyway, so that's all I got.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, Michelle, I'm back to you, policy committee. What's up? We had a bunch of things on the, we already approved, but
Right, that's about the agenda for this month. We continue to work on those every month. One in particular that we're working on is the security for school district facilities and equipment. So we'll take the discussion on that when Dave, TK, Teresa, Mark, McKenna, Corey, and Trish to get input from all different to the school, make sure that we're getting everything covered, that's kind of like the policy that affects a lot of people. So just continue to plug away and one after the other.
okay. Okay, well, thank you, Michelle. That is a job that you apparently shine at. That's what Chris says, you shine. And so I'm glad you're willing, because that's never been something I got excited about. And I'm appreciative that somebody among this group is excited about doing policies. Thank you. Moving on. Report from our interim superintendent, Chris.
All right. I will give a quick foreshadowing of a couple policy things we're working on. Transportation, we are working to secure a little bit more safe, aligned transportation policy with our handbook. And so we have our transportation director and principals working through that and getting good input from our bus drivers so that we have great routes that our drivers also can be focused on their safety, and that we're getting kids to school. So appreciate them. The other two, just to highlight, surveillance and student records and cameras are all coming. We're gonna need some time on that because there might be a few little legal things that we need to work on, but we have been taking the policies out, like Michelle said, to other people for their eyes on them. Today, I was at preschool. Today was my week, and we talked about Earth Week and did a wind experiment in one classroom, which was amazing. So I'm going to kind of do a quick variety of things. I wanted to thank BKBK. I said to James, will you send me a list of a lot of things they've done this year, because what a strong group for our partnership. And so one of the things, right when the day I asked him for that, I happened to get this in my mailbox, and One of the other things that they just purchased for us were headsets and a flip sled, for football. And so I just wanted to thank them for all that they do for our school district. The art in front of you today is the kind where if you look at it one way, you'll see one scene and then the other scene. So please look at that before you leave. I bring that to you from Michaela at the elementary. Those are our second graders featured. In our new display at the gallery at the district office, we have some candy tennis shoes, 4th grade, some abstract art, 5th grade, alligators, 1st, ladybugs, kindergarten, scratch art, 6th. So we have all of our grades represented, and tonight was awesome to see the things that Ms. Reed is doing with our middle school and high school kids, but it starts early here. We just have a very strong art program. The picture in front of you, I appreciate Mrs. Menninga partnered with, that would be 3rd grade. We had robots there, and the high school kids were there, and the middle school kids to help them learn about robots. So just really appreciate all the collaboration. We're trying to do more across schools, and it's been very, very beneficial. I would say when you look at my written report, much of this has been covered, so I am not going to cover it again. The SIAC minutes really outline the things that Michelle talked about, maybe gives a little more detail into what our counselors are doing, just so you can kind of see what they're doing. Calendar tonight, you'll see that later, so I will go past that. That's why you're playing that, Brian, thank you. I wasn't catching that. In terms of Erin's presentation, you will also see that at our SIAC committee, that was a big question that we covered. We covered the focus question of what are we doing with our learners that are already at grade level or above, and how are we meeting their needs? And so you can read more about what we talked about there, but Erin's just doing a fabulous job with that. But I wrote quite a bit so that people could know what's happening with that. I also highlighted, as Gary asked, that was a great question. Yes, what we're facilitating and starting for TAG now is not just for identified students, but it's to help teachers teach all day, every day for kids. And the coursework that she is taking comes from Bell & Blank in Iowa City, and it's nationally acclaimed. It's internationally acclaimed. So she's doing great work, putting in a lot of hours. We appreciate her. Years of service. I've been at both buildings now and working with some of our small teams, nutrition, and going to bus next week. But we really wanted to make sure our teachers know, and our paras and everyone in our school community, how much we appreciate them, whether they have been here 1 year or 42 years, like Mr. Kelly. So we've done some recognition and some messaging with that, but also handed out pins for 5-year milestones, which we would like to carry on. I actually had so many emails of people that really enjoyed having those conversations, and I think it's great to recognize the people we have here at BK. Attended safety and security. I did attend the grid shock presentation at the United Methodist Church, and Kevin and his family were there, and really great learning on trafficking in Iowa. It was great to see a large community outpouring to hear that message. Kevin, do you have anything you want to add?
Not really. It was pretty eye-opening.
Mm-hmm. It was very eye-opening. So they gave us resources, hotline numbers, reporting, calls to action, and I shared all that with Ms. Jensen, so she has the updated information.
Just,
sure.
Our pastor brought it up in her sermon Sunday about that Iowa is number 3 in the nation for child trafficking. You gotta be kidding me.
For population, we're 3rd.
For population, we're 3rd in the country. So protect your kids. Holy smokes.
There's information to learn for sure. And I would say I'm going to skip on my report outdoor classroom. We're going to talk later. The hopes is to have our next May meeting there. But what I'd like to talk about is they are going to host an open house there from 5 to 6:45 that night. We're working on signage for the classroom. We have the County Extension 4-H wants to do a craft there. We have some pretty excited people about this classroom, and I just really appreciate that both Mr. Young and Ms. Jensen are looking, we're talking about ways to involve our kids. What a great piece of land out there. I mean, it is amazing. So we can talk more about that. Legislature, really quick, we're wrapping up, and not a lot of new things to share. I think most of it I've reported. One of the pieces that I think is missing that impacts us is there was some money that we felt we were going to get for salary compaction as well as support staff, and that has not been earmarked. Teresa, have you heard anything today?
No, there's nothing in there yet.
Okay, as I say, it's not in there, and it's been a lot of conversation, but I think it's important for everyone to know that is not money that we will be seeing. So that was my main legislative update, and I think that wraps it up, unless there's any questions. Oh, our negotiations, sorry, that's kind of a big thing.
That's big.
We'll be talking about that. We met with our team Tuesday, and we're very excited to say that we just heard that they've ratified our proposal, and you'll learn more about that soon.
Done. Okay, moving on. Teresa, you're up. Business report.
The last of the reports.
You're the
Ready
last.
for this? I'll try to make it animated, wake everybody back up before the action items. Do you mind if I steal that?
No, go ahead.
Side here, okay. So, so much of what we do is kind of the same every month. It's very cyclical, but we do have a few fun, different things that we do around this. Fun for me, things that we get to work on this time of year. So like the personnel items that you would have approved at this meeting, we're already starting to reach out to those new teachers and fold them into the BK family. So that's one of those, that would be fun for anybody, I think, getting to just kind of extend that hand out. And it's mostly for paperwork. But again, we just try to make it seem more entertaining than it really is.
Entertaining.
A little entertaining, because if they're comfortable with us, then they come in and they talk to us and ask us questions when they need things, which is good for them and it's great for us. So we just try to really make those connections right away. In early May, we do our benefit open enrollment for all staff. So we're starting to do that preparation. That way we have our portal ready to go so that it's an easy experience for them to make all their elections for next year. Got all the preparations done for the negotiation season, and I have nothing but compliments for the leadership that we saw from the BKEA. It's really been great to be able to go in there, to have very productive time together, and you just leave with a really nice positive feeling. I think that really sets us just in a great position moving on from what could be a contentious time and has not been. So that's all. Getting past that, more to come on that very soon. Another fun one, scholarship reports are all prepared and ready. The joint annual meeting of the Foundation 1 and 2 boards is coming up on May 2nd. So that's always one of those, again, just a really great event where you get to celebrate the kids, their successes, and set those scholarship amounts for the class of 2024. First off, did you have any questions about anything there? Oh.
No, so far.
Perfect. Well, the next comments I have to make have to do with the action items that are coming up on your agenda. The first one is just finalizing budget documents. So if you look at your action 9A 1 and 2, those really go together. The 9A2 is kind of support information for the action you'll take on the first one. That is about the income surtax. So what you're going to need to do tonight is just decide where you want that income surtax, because then when you adopt that budget, that'll be set in stone, and then we can file that and be done with setting that budget for next year. And then the next action item on there is a budget amendment for the current fiscal year. So we don't know for sure that we'll actually need to spend this money in the current year. What happens, we get to this time of year, and some of these projects, we don't know if they'll be done June 30th and suddenly the money's going out the door, or they may not happen until July. So we're not looking for any additional spending beyond the plans that we've already made, but we do just need to go ahead and pass this amendment so that if things are completed early, which would be great, we're ready for it. Any questions for me?
Nope, not now. Okay, moving on. We're now finally to the time we can take action. Let's do it. School finance, proposed budget for the 24-25 school year. You'll take a look in your packet. You should have seen that. It shows at the very bottom, first major column, you'll see that the proposed levy based upon this particular item is 11.39724. That's the millage per $1,000 of taxation. And as you may remember, that's a reduction. Is that right, Teresa, from last year?
No, this would be an increase.
It's an increase.
Yes.
Okay. And that's the one that we had that meeting a month ago, not a month ago, last month. It was last month at the end of March. And so this is to formalize that. Now, do we need to do the income tax surcharge first?
Yes.
I thought so.
Yes.
So let's go to that. Now, the budget is the budget. We've seen this before. Let's go to the next item, which is the options and alternatives for the income tax surcharge. So let me give you a quick history. For years and years, the BK has had 3% as its income tax surcharge. What happens is that there was an option given to school districts many years ago that we could, instead of levying all of our money from property taxes, we could in fact get a income tax surcharge added to those people who file income tax returns in the state of Iowa. And it's an add-on at the percent indicated, 3%, onto your tax bill. So if your tax bill was $1,000 and we were at the 3%, it would cost you $30. And so your tax bill for the state of Iowa would be $1,030. That was at a time when the tax rate maximum was 8.98% in the state of Iowa. I'm leading right into where I want to go with this. We're currently at 3 and have been for years. They're currently debating whether they're going to drop the maximum tax rate for 2025 to less than 4%. That goes from 9 or 8.98 down to 4. That's less than half. So if my tax bill would have been $1,000, it'll now be less than $500. So the percentage of the income tax surcharge is now calculated on less than $500 or $15. And so what we did with that income tax surcharge was reduce our property taxes for the people in our school district by having some of it paid in the form of income tax surcharge, thereby relieving a little bit of the burden on property taxes. However, when you drop the income tax rate, as the legislature has already done and will do even further, I think, if they get their way here in the next couple of weeks, to less than 4% in 2025, we will need to increase the income tax surcharge just to keep it equal, just to stay where we are right now, today. Now, you have seen where the other schools are. They have rates all over the board. This was a way of having some people who didn't pay property taxes share in the burden of helping pay for the school district's tax bills, also giving some relief to the income to the property tax payers. Most of us own homes, but those who do not may not be paying any property taxes. But they do ordinarily, if they earn income, are going to pay income taxes. So the bottom line is, we can try to make up for what the legislature is doing to the relief that we were normally going to get on our property taxes by dropping the income tax rate, by increasing the income tax surcharge. And so I had Teresa put up 3 choices, 4, 5, and 6% as an alternative income tax surcharge for the BK school district. And I don't think this is I want this to be neutral. Property tax, income tax neutral. And the only way it can be neutral, that if they're cutting the income tax rate in half, it would have to increase it by 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Now, you can go 4, 5, or 6. I don't really care. It's up to you to make that decision. I just wanted you to have the full picture of how the property taxes and the income tax surcharge tax play off against each other when it goes into our budget. We're not gonna get any more money at the BK school district, whether it's 3, 4, 5, or 6%. But what it is gonna do, it's gonna give, if we raise it, we're gonna try to keep the amount coming out of the property taxpayer and the income taxpayer about the same that it was. If you decide to raise it, either the 1, 2, or 3% to 4, 5, or 6. That's why I wanted you to look at that, because I think it is a way of us being proactive to the people we represent, the property taxpayers and the income taxpayers. And I'm saying, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If the state's gonna drop our levy, what's gonna happen is the property taxes are gonna go up. If you think about that, we're gonna have less coming in from income tax surcharge. So therefore, your property taxes are gonna go up unless we do something to level the playing field. So that's why I wanted you to discuss it, so we can make that decision tonight. That'll be our first motion, and the second motion will be to approve the budget with that amendment. Okay? Any questions? Did I do it clearly enough?
I want to know how much Teresa coached you on doing this.
It takes very little. Jerry's very smart. He picks it up quickly and then he makes a presentation. I'm impressed.
Did you hear that? She
Yeah,
said
I
that's
heard
smart,
that.
Terry.
I heard all that.
Give it home, bring it home tomorrow.
We'll give him all our credit.
Great job.
You're giving him way too much credit.
Well, I remember when we used to have not this room. We would have the meeting room filled with people angry about adopting the first one at 3%.
Oh, I remember when this happened, we were everybody around the
Everybody went
state, when
bonkers.
schools went to this, went bonkers about it. But honestly, back then, I didn't know a lot about school finances and how everything worked. Me and my wife were a couple of those people that kind of went bonkers over it. But over the years, learning we only have so much money.
Yeah.
I mean, we just got done with negotiations.
Yeah.
And, there's only so much money, and honestly, yeah, they cut property taxes. That's a great thing if they cut property taxes or income tax. If they cut income tax, that's probably a good thing for most people. It's gonna hurt us.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt me.
Yeah.
And it's gonna hurt you, Joel. It's gonna hit every one of us here who owns property is gonna get hit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Chris is off the hook. I'm sorry. Her land is someplace else.
Yeah.
Or her rate's 14%. No, I'm sorry. I don't know what her rate is. You don't know either, do you?
So you need a motion to set a percentage.
I need you to pick a percentage, make a motion. We'll second it, and then we'll discuss it, and then we'll see if we're gonna change it, and then we'll make a decision. Help me.
I make a motion that we move the tax to 6%.
Do I have a second?
They're having so much trouble.
Was that a rerun? Do I have a second?
I will second so we can discuss it.
Oh, I was gonna say hit motion fails for lack of a second. Okay, let's talk about it. Well, it's open for discussion. I have a motion and second.
I'm more middle of the road. 6% doesn't blow my dress up at all.
It doesn't.
Not one bit. Over the years, when we had the room full and we had targets on our back, I mean, that makes people look shy. But that's my opinion. For a more middle road.
Well, you understand what I was trying to say.
Yes, I do.
Because the tax rate was being reduced by more than half on the income tax side. The property taxpayer is gonna have a huge increase in the tax rate. And the income tax surcharge would help level the field. And so doubling the income tax surcharge won't even keep us level.
Right.
Now, in with what Gary also, and he said, he did tell us that the legislature hasn't done this to us yet. Hasn't cut it in
They've
half
done
yet.
part of it.
They've
They've
done
already
part of
reduced,
it.
but they're gonna drop it. Today, the discussion was lowering it for 2025 below 4%.
Yes, and what, it's an election year too.
Sure.
So this is gonna happen, because everybody looks at income tax and they're gonna want the votes. So I have a feeling they're gonna drop it below 4%. I really do think they're gonna do that.
Well, and this won't take effect immediately, remember that.
No.
It won't affect taxes we just filed, it won't affect the taxes that we're gonna file for next year.
No,
or
it's
this
gonna be-
current year. It's year, it'll be 2025. Is that right, Teresa?
Yes.
I think so. That's what I understood. Okay, any other discussion?
How much in the hole would we be if we did nothing?
Well, we're not gonna be in the hole at all. We're gonna get the same money. But it's coming
It's
from the
gonna
property
shift.
taxes
It's gonna
instead of
shift.
income taxes. That's where the shift is gonna take
Shift
place.
it over.
So, doesn't affect us, right, Teresa?
So we get the same amount of money no matter what.
Mhm.
For every 1% you increase the income surtax, that shifts about $41,000 from property tax to income surtax, out of about a just shy of $4 million total tax pile. So it's not a huge, when you start getting down to the individual, it's not going to be a huge difference for any one person. But it's 40,000 from one pot to the other.
From property taxes to income tax.
Correct, yes.
Any other discussion? Any other comment? If there's nothing to be said, I'm gonna call for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is, Michelle, we lost Michelle again.
We lost her a long time ago.
She didn't hear I'll have to say it all over again?
You're good.
I think she
Sure
heard it.
Did she say, did you say aye, Michelle?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
it's passed. Okay, now that we got 6% in the kitty, that's gonna be plugged into our budget, okay? Now, I need you to get a motion to approve our 24-25 Belmont Clemate School budget. Jim, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Rick, any discussion? If none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Michelle? Do you need a roll call for that?
No.
Thank you. Moving on. Next item is budget amendment. I need a motion to approve the budget amendment. If you'll notice, that was on page 68 of your packet. And we do need to do that in case we need an adjustment in our budget between now and the end of June. Okay, Rick? Yep, Joe? Okay. I said Rick. It's not Rick.
You got it right the second time. You said Joel. You said Rick, then you said Joel.
But it wasn't you.
No.
It was Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan and Joel. We've got to get that right. Okay. Discussion? Shouldn't be any. If there is, speak now. Oh, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay, motion is carried. Oh, now we're trucking. Snow days and last days for the 23-24 school year. There's a proposal that's been laid out. And apparently this has been discussed with the staff. Is that correct? And that's the one we're going with because they didn't change the beginning date of school. So we're stuck with the 23rd of right?
Actually,
August?
we're one item before that, I think, on the snow
Oh.
days. This is to change.
Oh, on the snow days. Oh, this is for the end of the school year this year.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Forget the calendar. We're gonna, we decided when we're gonna let the kids out. You all with that? When the teachers are done? They'll be done on the 31st.
So the change would be, the kids are typically done right now with calendar on the 31st. We'd like to propose that the kids are done on that Friday and don't have to come back after that weekend. Our teachers will be back for some data collection. The buildings will determine what that's used for.
So they'll be back here and they'll be done on the June 3rd for the teachers, okay? Need a motion. Okay, Jim, second?
Second.
Michelle, I heard Michelle over there. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have to discuss that my boys think it should be the 28th and not the 29th. It's their birthday.
I'm sure, I'm glad they don't get to vote.
Yeah.
I think I agree with.
Yeah, you can agree with Andrew on that.
Well, I've given you.
I'm gonna vote yes on the 29th, but I just had to bring that up.
Okay, well, finally. Yes, Brian?
When was the seniors' last day?
When are they, the 17th?
I don't know if it's.
He's not here.
Is it?
Not here.
I think it's Friday the 17th, actually. Is this the graduation the 19th?
Commencement's the 21st.
Oh, 21st, a Tuesday? Oh, no, I see the 21st, okay. But that's this Tuesday. I don't think that's right. It says here, May commencement's the 21st. The 21st is a Tuesday.
Because that's the 23rd.
23, yeah.
Oh, long year. Well, that's why.
Right, yeah,
I'm not calling
Oh,
it.
Lord.
yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know when graduation is, so that's too bad.
Does that impact you thinking on anything? Okay.
Okay,
Oh, you know
We'll
what?
get that date.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carried. Now we can move to the calendar. Okay, calendar, we're stuck with the 23rd of August of 2024 as the begin date for school. This has been reviewed and discussed and understood by the staff. I know that for sure. And so I need a motion to approve our school calendar for the coming school year. Jim? Who's next?
I'll second.
Second, Joel. Discussion? It's been hammered a lot. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Moving on. Temporary help and summer help and interpreters. You notice there's some changes there. I'll let Chris kind of review that with you.
In terms of our summer help, Teresa and I worked together to look at the rates that we have been paying. We listened to, Trish had some input, as well as Corey, making sure that we are up to a wage that is a good wage to pull people in. Trish has some tech things that need confidentiality and that kind of thing. So the rates that you'll see would be raises in that salary for the summer. In terms of interpreters, we're looking at, we have needs at registration time at conferences, where that is a highly valued skill, and we want to pay those people at a wage that if they're coming in to help us out and spend those extra hours, that we are compensating them for that.
Take a look at those rates. Good. Cleaning and painting is $12 an hour. Repairs and supervision is $20 an hour, and you gotta make sure those kids are taking naps all the time. You gotta take the extra pay for that. And the computer maintenance, I mean, that's technical work, clean them up. And interpreters, $25. That's cheap. I know we pay a lot more than that at the courthouse, so yeah, that's really cheap, so. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Rick, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Kevin. Discussion. Any comments, thoughts? If not, All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on. Oh, yeah, this is really important. Number E. As you know, we have to make a decision about what we're gonna do with our AEA money. They said, now the schools can spend it willy-nilly for hiring other people, or we can make sure that we restore that money to the AEA. This is a proposal to use the services of the AEA like we had last year, or the current year, instead of going out and trying to find our own people to provide us services. I need a motion to approve this proposed resolution. Jim, second.
Of course.
Rick, discussion.
Yes, I hope every other school district makes this decision.
I hope they do too.
I will tell you, in our conference, I was at our Top of Iowa Superintendent's meeting, and that would be the norm for ours. I
Good.
would say there's some conferences that isn't going to be the norm for their AEA, but I'm really happy that we'll be able to support and have the support of Central Rivers AEA next year.
And all the services are still available.
Right now, all those
So far.
services are still available. We're working together, Ryan, doing, that's a great question. We've done a survey. I worked collaboratively with our principals, and we filled out a survey together that they had given us. We've also, I did visit with Jen Peter. I wanted to make sure that she had a voice in that decision, because that will, be moving forward. We have a meeting set up with our regional administrator, Ashley Sires, to even do some more in-depth discovery of what we need with our principals. So we are making our needs known, and they're doing everything they can to meet them. Great question, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, correct?
Yes.
Just one other comment. You may have been watching the press about termination letters being given to a bunch of AEA administrators. There's gonna be a lot of people without jobs because of this whole upheaval. Maybe it's just because they don't know what their budgets are gonna look like until they get these contracts from places like BK, I don't know what that means, but I heard that this morning on the radio that notices of termination have been given to a lot of the AEA administrators across the entire state. So that's a huge number of people that are getting laid off because of this legislation.
And we are working, that's another really good point. One of the questions at my Central Rivers superintendent's meeting was just about that and HR and like what services can we count on. At that time, which was just a few days ago, in instructional services, which would be our professional learning and those kinds of pieces that we really right now depend highly on, it was a very small number for Central Rivers, like 8 out of 55. Now, again, that was a couple days ago. I can't say that that's it, but within that division. So.
Can I just say what
Yeah.
I don't have a lot more information, but what I was told is that most of the line workers, the people who do most of the work, all got contracts.
Right.
But I think the legislation that came through required them to terminate all of the
Administrative staff.
and they have to reapply
Right.
for those jobs. That was my understanding.
So the Department of Ed is gonna decide who gets those jobs and who doesn't.
And what it looks like, what they look like.
And our chief administrator, Joel Henderson, will be going to NIAC. Since President Schultz is retiring, he will be the new president at NIAC next year.
Oh, that's
So
good.
they'll be sharing, I believe, the proposal with Keystone AEA.
Okay.
So,
Okay, enough of that information. We have the motion on the floor. All in favor of the resolution to allocate funds to Central Rivers AEA? Huh?
Roll call.
Yeah, I have to roll call, right? I can't do it all in favor. Roll call.
Gary Berkland,
Aye.
Joel Boozman,
Aye.
Rick McDaniel,
Aye.
Ryan Meyer,
Aye.
Michelle Murphy, Kevin Ring, Jim Swenson.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. Moving on. Superintendent contract. This is for Jen Peter. Jen Peter talked to me over a month ago, well, actually before I left for Hawaii, and said to me I would really like to be able to spend some more time in your district before I arrive here on July 1st. And the reason I would like to do that, there is lots of things I'd like to get in place before the beginning of the school year. And she can't take time off from AEA. She doesn't have any available days off. And so if she took time off to do that, she would be without pay. And I said to her, I don't want that. If you're gonna be here working for us, we'll pay you the per diem rate. That's one, your contract divided by the number of days times 5. She wants to spend 5 days in the district working between the 1st and the end of June. I'm all in favor of that. I need a motion to approve the amendment to her contract.
Yeah.
Jim, second. Second. Who did I get? Joel? Okay. Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion is carried, unanimous. We love it. Next, the fun part. Yeah. Now we're moving on. We get to the May meeting. I am so excited about having a meeting out at the outdoor classroom. I think that's gonna be so cool. So think about it, it's party time. We're gonna have this open meeting, and I was told there'd be snacks, right?
I'm pretty sure.
Snacks.
Snacks and music and all kinds of things.
Oh, man, so we're gonna have a big party before our meeting, then at 7:00, we'll conduct our meeting out there at the outdoor classroom. And if the mosquitoes don't get us, and they shouldn't at that time of the year,
The ticks will.
the ticks will get you. Okay.
Don't like me, they
Yeah, what do you guys think? You like that?
Yes. You need a
Yes.
motion?
I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Second, motion made, seconded. I am so excited about this. We have talked about this, but we've never, ever gone out there. In fact, I've got to tell you, I haven't been in that house since the Wessels lived there. Because their daughter and my daughter were in the same class, and I used to take my daughter out there, and she'd spend the night. And I understand that the folks that have fixed that up have done an awesome job. So anyway, did we vote yet?
No.
Oh, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Now, we get to the discussion item. I got one item for discussion tonight.
Gary, I think we might actually have an issue with the school calendar last day. I think the dates you guys just approved were last year's end dates.
No, we caught that.
We did.
I'm sorry.
No, thank you. That's
We've
what
got
he
the
was.
We figured out the date.
31st is,
Yes,
okay.
thank
You
you.
probably did it while I was trying to find the
I
calendar
think
and look
that's
at
what
it.
happened.
Yeah.
Thank
Because you see, I said graduation's on a Tuesday. How is this possible?
Perfect.
And it's actually got 2 days. This is leap year. So it would have been on a Sunday last
Sorry.
year.
Good, no,
I mean,
that's
I even know
wonderful you
why,
got it.
because
Thank
leap
you.
year is a 2-day, your calendar moves two notches in leap year. And that's why it was on a Tuesday. I knew there was something wrong with it. Thank you. Yeah, we got it fixed.
The date was right, but the calendar displayed. it
Yes,
wrong.
the calendar
Right.
was last
The
year
dates were
still.
right.
The dates were right.
The
Yep.
dates were right.
The dates were right. Yep.
Okay, moving on. Well, we're done with the action side. Discussion, state legislature update. Who knows? I'm sorry. Chris, you got anything?
I would say nothing more than I mentioned before with the compaction and the support happening there, so.
I'm gonna just briefly tell you one comment that I would make about this board. It is ordinary that each year at graduation, one of the members of our board of directors, or it might be two, if that need be, who has someone who is graduating from high school, is privileged with handing out the diplomas at graduation. I have a grandfather here with us who is going to be handing out diplomas this year to his granddaughter, and has said, I would like to do that. And it happens to be Jim. Does anybody else have someone graduating that they want to be a part of that ceremony?
Not this year.
I know, I knew, that's why I said, Rick's not this year.
Not this year.
You got a ways to go. And you're done, right? Got one coming? Kevin?
Still on the way, but.
Yeah, there.
If you're still
Few
on this
years.
board, when you have kids that are gonna graduate, I strongly suggest to you to make sure you're on that stage to hand them.
I'd probably pick me up.
What?
Say, do you mind if that'd be great? I was thinking that too.
You too?
Yes.
If Jim will have me.
No, it's up to Jim.
No, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think I'm just telling you folks, that is a privilege. It
Yes.
is a privilege. And it's one of the few perks you get
Yes,
for saying, I will run for the office of the director of the board.
I think the pay's pretty good.
And the pay's awesome.
Kind of double what it was last
And
year.
especially if
pay
it's
is
80
fantastic.
degrees in that room when you hand out
I
the.
still love the one we had outdoors. That was a
Yeah, you remember
beautiful
that?
day day. Yes.
Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah. That was a year. Okay, so I hereby appoint Jim and Ryan to hand out diplomas at graduation.
You and I did it one year.
We did do it, Jim. I remember that. That was fun. Well, we both had a daughter
Yes.
that was graduating, so we got to do it. We each just kind of took turns and made sure we,
Y'all had two daughters that both graduated
yeah,
with each other.
My daughter Annette, his daughter Corinne.
Yeah, and Andrea and Mara.
yeah, Andrea and Mara.
right.
I'm glad I could fill in the blanks.
Well, see, you wouldn't know, because you were in the same class.
There's been a lot of blanks between them now.
Jeez. Okay, any other discussion items that you want to talk about? You know what, we're almost, it's only a little past 9:30. What a short meeting. I tried really hard.
Well, we had a lot of reports because we're gonna be out there in May, so we wanted to have a lot to.
You know, I heard so many bad words about Ryan is so much better at this job than you. Oh, whips right through those.
You know, I never brought it up, but it was fantastic.
Well, I think part of the reason is we took all the reports from my meeting and put them in this one.
Yeah, I know. That is true. There is some truth to that. Okay, so, if nothing else, I need a motion to adjourn to our, and then we'll go into our exempt session.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Rick, Jim, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, nay? Motion carried. Now, all of those who are not board members or secretary and Michelle